Hey YouTube, welcome to the Whitney with Wisdom podcast. I'm your host Whitney and I am back with the wisdom. Let me just tell y'all something, and this is something for me too, because I used to, go through it when it comes to large crowds and stuff like that. Sometimes we create the anxiety or the depression for ourselves. Now, I'm not talking to the people who really having an issue, need to go to the doctor, or have been diagnosed already. I'm not talking about, you all, because that's very serious. Take your medication to your best discretion, you know. But what I am saying is sometimes a lot of us create these circumstances for ourselves. Like sometimes we be creating the anxiety for ourselves. We start Googling stuff, then we start seeing the labels like social anxiety, depression, and we literally take on these labels as if they're ours, and they do become ours because we start owning it. We have to stop Googling and stop taking on all these labels. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, little stuff like, seeing people staring at you, looking for people to stare at you. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, why do I even care that people looking at me? Is it because I'm not presentable right now? Is it because I rolled out the bed, jumped up, and ran to the store, and now I'm mad because people have eyes to see me? You know what I'm saying? And then we get mad and we say, well, people should just mind their business. That's what I used to do. Like, sometimes I used to have to get me some soap or something, and this was like early teens or whatever. I used to need me some soap or some tissue or something, roll up out the bed with my bonnet on and stuff, just being transparent. Run to the store. If I see somebody looking at me, I get mad because they got eyes. Now, what type of sense did that make? How am I going to get out of my bed, come out of my place, into the public, unpresentable, and then get mad when somebody see me? That don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? And then say they need to mind their business. That don't make no sense, because as long as people have eyes, they are going to look. So you know what you have to do? Go look in the mirror before you leave the house and ask yourself, are you presentable? If it's yes, go ahead. If it's no, do a little bit more work. You know, that way, when you come out your house, you can hold your head up high and feel confident, even if people looking and staring at you. Because just like we said, if people have eyes, they gonna look. Stop leaving your house unpresentable and then getting mad because people have eyes, like I used to do. And ask yourself, how do I even know all these people are looking at me? That's another thing. How do we be knowing that all these people looking at me? In my case, I felt like everywhere I went, somebody was looking all in my face and stuff like that. One day I had to ask myself, well, Whitney, how do you know all these people looking at you? Could it be that I'm looking at these people to see if they're looking at me, creating and bringing on this whole awkward, judgmental moment on myself? Yes. It dawned on me one day. I said, oh my goodness, I'm the reason I feel like this. I'm bringing this on myself. I'm going in the store looking and see who looking at me with my bonnet on. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we bring this stuff on ourselves, and I'm just being transparent just to drive the point home. We have to stop doing this to ourselves. Take your own advice and get out of other people's business. Stop looking at them to see if they're looking at you. You know, maybe people just are aware of their surroundings. Sometimes when people look at you, they're not even thinking of you. That's another thing that freed me a while back, years ago. People might look at you mean with a nasty look on their face. They might be thinking about all the bills they got, and they ain't even thought about you. You just happen to be in front of them. Sometimes you just happen to be the person that's walking in and they are aware of their surroundings and they look at the door. Again, when I started leaving the bonnet at home, making sure my hair was presentable, my clothes were presentable, making sure I actually put on shoes, not sliding around in slippers like I don't have no home training. Even when people looked at me, I stopped feeling so self-conscious. I stopped feeling so awkward and stuff, because people gonna look at you, but you have to ask yourself, are you presentable? You can't come out the house unpresentable and then get mad when people look at you. Anyways, pay more attention to what's around the store, like the vibrant colors of the bananas and the strawberries. Get out of people's faces and focus on what you're supposed to be doing. That's what freed me too. just like I said, I used to bring this stuff on myself, and I know it's somebody out there that I'm helping, that you are going outside looking to see who's looking at you, and you have to ask yourself, why do you care that they're looking at you? Are you unpresentable? If you are, be presentable every time you leave the house from now on, and I promise you, just like me, you won't care who's looking at you no more. It might bother you a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes it bothers me a little bit when people stare at me still, even when I am presentable now. But it bothers me less than it did years ago when I knew I was not presentable. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay to be aware of your surroundings, but stop scanning the room like you're a detective on duty, making yourself look awkward, making other people feel awkward, and then getting mad when it's awkward. It really does pay to mind your own business. And as my mama say, you better be worried if nobody looking at you. You know, sometimes we have to be like, think the opposite. What if nobody was looking at you? What if you really were invisible everywhere you went? Then we'll be like, oh my God, why ain't nobody looking at me? Sometimes we want to have a battle, and we have got to stop. We have got to stop Googling, self diagnosing. Just like I said, if you are diagnosed by a professional, this is not for you. I'm talking to the people like me who sat there before or is either sitting there Googling basically what's wrong with me and taking on those labels. It's not your anxiety, it's not your depression. Nothing is wrong with you except for show up and be a better you. Talking to myself too. When I started leaving the house presentable, people can stare me down and I would feel a pinch of like uncomfortableness. But when I was unpresentable, I felt so uncomfortable that I almost could break down and start crying years ago. So I'm not saying that, oh, now that I, put myself together, I never feel uncomfortable when people stare at me. I'm not saying that. But what I'm sharing with you all is that you will feel tremendously less uncomfortable when you take care of yourself and present yourself the way you want to be seen, because as long as people have eyes, they going to look. Have a great day.